Hello everyone, I am Professor Himadri Roy from School of Gender and Development Studies. Today we are going to talk about issues of sexuality. Last time we have talked about concepts of sexuality in which you have seen that what are the concepts of sexuality. Today we are going to discuss about the issues of sexuality. The first issue that comes into our mind is sexual hierarchy. Now, sexual hierarchy is very important to understand the sexuality contexts and notions of sexuality. How are the hierarchies created? The hierarchies are created by four categories. Mainly, the first one is relationships between man and woman. Second is relationships should be within institution of marriage. And the third one is relationship should be between man and a woman of same caste, same religion and same class. Apart from these normative sexualities hierarchies, the non-normative sexualities or LGBTI+ are much below on the scale of sexual hierarchy. They almost become non-existent in the sexual hierarchical scale. Now, what are the main issues of non-normative sexuality? The first issue that comes into our mind is coming out or being in closet. The second one is homophobia or transphobia. The third is acceptance and recognition. Fourth is discrimination. Fifth is abuse and harassment. Sixth is violence, and the last one is legal rights. The first one, let's discuss what is coming out. Coming out is a process of telling about one's sexuality to family, relatives, friends, neighbors and or colleagues. This depends whether you are working or whether one is not working. The second process of coming out is finding out someone to share one's feelings and emotions about one's sexual identity and sexual orientation. The third one that we should always keep in mind is this someone can be a family member, a relative, a friend or a colleague. Now, what is being in closet? What are closeted things? Closeted is a protective identity or hiding about one's sexuality, sexual orientation and sexual identity. Hiding one's sexuality from others because of the stereotypes of sexual behaviors, attributes and sexual roles, and other social pressures are also there. Many a time, this makes the individual who is in closet to lead a dual life or living false or unhappy lives. Now, why we are saying that? Because when one individual hides one's sexuality, then the person is made or forced or imposed to behave in a normative sexuality way. So therefore, a person who belongs to non-normative sexuality, if the person is forced to behave in the normative sexuality, then for them it becomes literally tough to survive. So they lead a dual life, one in front of the family and the parents and relatives, one with the friends with whom they are comfortable. Maybe not always with the friends, with some friends, chosen friends, some colleagues, some chosen colleagues. The third one that is very important for us to understand is what is homophobia. Now, homophobia is a queer club term that is used for all non-normative people or LGBTI+ people. Now, why I'm using just homophobia? Because it talks about the other homosexuals also in the category. It is basically a dislike of or prejudice against these individuals who are homosexual or non-normative people or LGBTIA+ people. Now, it also encompasses a range of negative attitudes or feelings towards these people. This kind of feeling may be based on irrational, unscientific fear and ignorance, and is often related to cultural traditions, religious beliefs and social norms. Like, for example, if I don't like someone who is lesbian, then I will definitely say that, oh, I have never seen in my society a lesbian. That way. Similarly, if we don't talk about bisexual, if I don't like, if I have a negative attitude towards bisexual men, then I'll say, oh, I have never, science do not prove any bisexuality exists or not. Or my God doesn't permit me to believe in bisexuality. These are certain kind of feeling that is based on irrational, unscientific traditions. Now, the other one is transphobia. Transphobia is a feeling of hatred, contempt, anger and aversion against the transgender people. These range of negative attitudes or feelings keep them away from being part of the society. Always they have to face the negative attributes from the people, negative attitudes. They are being scorned at, mocked at and laughed at by all the other people in the society. But a strange kind of fear is always attached to them, which is related to religious beliefs, especially in India. Now in India, we believe that if a transgender comes and claps in front of you asking for begging, then definitely we turn up and give some money to them or just scorn them off. Now the other thing also is related that if they curse us, probably that curse will come true. Now these are unscientific, irrational religious beliefs that most of the people in this country or the prevalent society in this country have. Now the other thing is the very important issue that we have in the non-normative sexuality is recognition and acceptance. This is very, very important. Acceptance takes place, we must understand that acceptance takes place in three stages. One is individual acceptance, one is family acceptance, and the third one is social or society acceptance by the society. So we see that in individual acceptance, firstly, one has to accept oneself about one's sexual orientation and sexual identity. What I am, I have to accept myself first. Secondly, one's sexual identity or sexual orientation has to be accepted by the family. Now this is the second stage. The third stage is one's sexual orientation has to be accepted by friends, colleagues, relatives and others from the society. Now these are the three stages. Now many a times we always expect that if I have accepted myself, my friends should accept me, my society should accept me, my neighbors should accept me, but I don't know about my family. The other very important thing is that it is always seen that the coming out of non-normative sexuality people, the coming out phases are self-acceptance is always with friends and colleagues in this society. In India, we have seen always that self-acceptance is first and then with friends and family. Then later may or may not disclose their sexual identity or sexual orientation to the family. It is important for us, such non-normative sexuality, to build a support system. This is very, very important criteria, or I should say important character that one should have in non-normative sexuality. There should be a support system. The recognition takes place only then on the social and legal systems beside the acceptance stages. The recognition will only happen when one accepts oneself that yes, I am bisexual, or I am gay, or I am lesbian, or I am trans, or other genders. So that has to be first happen, and then only the recognition will happen from the social level or the legal systems. The laws are gradually accepting and recognizing these non-normative sexualities in India. And I'll take few case studies. The first one, Kunal is gay, but he couldn't tell anyone in his family about his sexuality. He remains in closet in front of them. He feels they will not understand him nor will accept him. He realizes that family's atmosphere is homophobia. He prefers to remain closet, but he told his best friend. He accepted him as he is. Soon his other friends come to know about him. All of them are not accepted by him. Now this is very important. See, his friends are not affected by it. His friend has accepted him, but his family is not accepted him. But he has built, now we can see that he has built a support system. His support systems are his other friends and other members of the society. The second case we take is about Neeraj or Nirja. Neeraj feels he isn't a boy, he is a girl who is trapped in this wrong body. He likes to dress like a girl, do all the feminine behaviors. He shared his feeling with his mother. She did not understand what to do, so took him to a doctor. The doctor counseled him and his mother. She accepted him as his sexuality is, but his other family members could not accept him. Neeraj left home. So after that, he started staying with some transgender people. He changed his name. Very interestingly, Neeraj changed his name from Neeraj to Nirja. But still today, Z sometimes meet her mother at occasions. Now why I'm using Z and Zer over here? Because the transgender people usually prefer themselves to call in this pronoun, Z or Zer. The third case I'm taking is of Pallavi. Pallavi is a bisexual woman. She feels comfortable about her sexuality from school days. She was in love with one of her seniors. She married him and settled in a different city. After marriage, she came in contact with Ankita. She started liking her a lot. They developed a sexual affinity. She shared this feeling with her father, but her father emphasized that he should cut all bonds with Ankita to protect her marriage. But that did not happen. After struggling a lot, she told her husband about it. Her husband did not object to it, accepted her sexuality. Later, Pallavi got separated from her husband and she now lives with Ankita, but still in touch with her husband as a very good friend. These are the three cases we have seen: Kunal, Neeraj, Nirja and Pallavi. Now what are the findings? The first finding is that the acceptance of sexualities of all the three cases are very important for each of them. For instance, acceptance of Kunal by his best friend gave him mental strength. For Nirja, the support of her mother never perished, and for Pallavi, her support from her husband. All these built a strong, knitted society. So therefore, the support system, the second that I was talking about, the support system is required to survive in the society, and all these three cases. For Kunal, his best friend; for Nirja, her community members; and for Pallavi, her husband. Now the other issue that comes always in this non-normative sexualities are discrimination. LGBTIA+ are always discriminated on various grounds like class, caste, region, religion, ethnicity and many others apart from their sexuality. Now these class, caste, region, religion, ethnicity are always been discriminated by other people also in the society, normative sexuality. But along with it, if someone is a poor person and is lesbian, the discrimination becomes double. If someone is from a low caste, the person suffers a lot. Someone is from a different region, say for example, person from Northeast suffers more than the person from the mainland India. Religion, similarly, ethnicity. Lesbians are doubly discriminated, one for being woman and the other for being non-normative. Gays also undergo a lot of discrimination as they cannot meet the norms of being a quote-unquote man. Transgenders suffer a lot of discrimination on the basis of their physical appearance and their profession, of course of their profession. Now what are their professions? Begging, sex work and occasional dancing, which is also called toli badhai by themselves. Intersex people are also discriminated on the basis of their biological body by everyone. These people are ostracized most of the time. The other issue that we come across is abuses and harassment. LGBTI+ people always face verbal abuses by the society they live in. They are harassed many times in public places like public transport, public restrooms, malls, theatres, market, etc. Homophobic jokes are always cracked in front of them. Gay bullying, which is commonly called gay bullying, for physical and mental abuse that are forced upon the LGBTQI+ people by the normative society. Then comes violence. Violence against the LGBTI+ community takes place at three levels. One is individual or self, the second one is family, and the third one is society. The main reason behind the violence against LGBTI+ is homophobia, transphobia, beside religious and cultural reasons. Non-recognition and non-acceptance also give rise to these violences. The first one, individual violence or self-violence. The individual violence or self-violence is mainly suicides and self-inflicting pains that the individual cause upon themselves for several reasons. The reason for individual self-violence is mainly disclosure of sexual identity or sexual orientation, non-acceptance, discrimination, and physical, mental, emotional abuses. Family violence. Family violence is another level of violence that the LGBTI+ people undergo. Beside physical, emotional or mental violence, they undergo corrective rape and conversion therapy. These are two distinct violences that the family causes for the non-normative sexuality people. Corrective rape. Corrective rape is a form of violence where the physical rape or sodomy is done by one of the family members. For instance, a lesbian is raped by her own brother or father to make her normal, quote unquote, normal or straight or heterosexual. Conversion therapy. The other is conversion therapy. Now, what is conversion therapy? Conversion therapy is done by a medical professional with the permission of a family member. In this therapy, medicines and electric shocks are given to convert the person into quote unquote normal or to make them straight or heterosexual. The social violences. There are several forms of social violence against the LGBTI+ people, like gay bullying, rape, murder, and sextortion. What is gay bullying? Gay bullying is a form of violence that are practiced institutionally. It begins with verbal teasing and abuses. Slowly it turns into physical ones. It is practiced by people of normative sexual identity or straight or heterosexual. Now I'll take an example to make you understand these three forms of violences in one individual. Jatin. Jatin studies in class 11 in one of the English medium schools of Lucknow. He is good in studies, average in cultural activities and very poor in outdoor sports. He is soft-spoken, docile and meek in his behavior. His seniors bully him a lot. It started with verbal abuse like teasing him, calling him by names like pansy, homo, etc. etc. It scared him a lot that he could not share these with his best friend, not even with his family members. One day he was stripped off in the restroom of the school and beaten up by the seniors after the school got over. This scared the hell out of him. It continued as he could not retaliate, and this kind of physical abuses went on and on. It came one day that he could not bear the everyday physical and mental abuse, and so he died by suicide. Rape and murder are other issues that is very important to LGBTI+ people or sexuality in per se. Rape and murder are the most common form of violence against the LGBTI+ people. Rapes are forced upon them for several reasons: to change them into a normative heterosexual, to control their sexuality, and many other reasons. If a rape victim complains or reports to the police, this fear leads to murder many a time, like in other forms of gender-based violence that we see in all cases of violence that happens in the society. But murders happen for other reasons too in this LGBTI+ people. Like someone has a grudge against them, someone who dislikes the non-normative behavior, and other reasons like any other gender-based violences happen for. This form, another form of violence that is very, very distinct for the LGBTI+ people is sextortion. This form of violence are only against the LGBTI+ people. Any LGBTI+ person who has money and is closeted are victims most of the time. Like people who are not out to the family are always threatened and blackmailed for money and sex by the people who wants to benefit out of it. In many cases, it has been reported that the accused was an ex-lover or a date from the dating apps that is made for the LGBTI+ people. And the legal rights that I was talking about, the other issues, two major historic judgments are given by the Supreme Court of India for the LGBTI+ people. One, decriminalization of the LGBTI+ members under IPC section 377 on 6th September 2018, so that they are no more harassed, physically tortured, or brutal violence against them are not practiced. The second one is Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019 has been in effect from 10th January 2020. Under this law, the transgender rights to health and education, their welfare and matters are safeguarded. Now, seeing the issues of sexuality is the first issue that comes into our mind is the sexual hierarchy. And gradually the non-normative sexuality issues are very distinct over here. So we have talked about them one by one. The first one is coming out or being in the closet or closeted identity. Second one is homophobia and transphobia. Third one is abuses, violences of different forms. Then we have discrimination. We have abuses and harassments and violences of three different forms. We have seen individual violence or self-violence. We have seen family violence. We have talked about the social violences that occur, and we also have the other issue, that is the legal rights issues. Now, apart from these two legal rights, the other rights that the LGBTI plus people or non-normative sexuality people are fighting for is right to marriage, right for adoption, and right to surrogacy. These are the three important rights they are fighting for. Now, as I was talking about, these all issues of non-normative sexuality, the most important sexuality, the issue that comes into our mind over here are acceptance and recognition. We are still in that part of the society, still in that time where acceptance and recognition has not happened in the ground. We have seen many people suffering. For example, Jatin's case, we have taken the case of Jatin. Although the names are all changed, Jatin's case we have seen they are not accepted. We have seen Kunal's case, we have seen Hirja's case, we have seen Pallavi's case. They are accepted and recognized, and those three people are accepted and recognized in different forms. So they have been able to fight for the other legal rights that they are part of the society as a citizen of this country. But for Jatin, cases like Jatin, acceptance and recognition has to work out. It is not that the big cities or metropolitans or educated people or the acceptance of society do not work on all these things. Acceptance in society works on culture, traditions, notions, beliefs, and attributes that are given to the society. We first have to understand the root cause of acceptance and why there are no acceptance, why there are no recognition. In some family, whether they are learned or whether they are uneducated, whether they are rich or whether they are poor, acceptances vary from people to people. Poor people might, in some cases, poor people might have accepted. Learned people might not have accepted. There are different. It is not necessary that Bengal or Maharashtra have more rights for the LGBT people and they are accepted in the society. No. Discrimination, abuses, harassment, and all forms of violence are practiced everywhere across the country. Recent cases we have seen many across social media that these forms of violences are being practiced or carried out or by the normative society against the non-normative people in the society. That is where it is very important for us to accept everyone in the society as citizens of this country and part of the society. Thank you very much.